Boom, boom, boom.
You know, the word emotion kind of distorts everything because, like, when you take the letter E and you equate that to the word feelings, you kind of mess up the motion of things. So remove the E and keep moving. That's what you do.
Spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the IMP. Ain't nothing but pimpin' these days. He's spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the
Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Jr. Network. I am the Uncle Jr. and on the panel today we have the nucleus of the panel, Victor, Viziant, Antoine, Christopher, and unfortunately Coach will not make it tonight, but the show must go on. Now back with us again for another show is JL, Dustin. They both been on here before, and for the first time today we have John, we have Chris, and we have Chris from across the table. Chris has a YouTube channel as well, so once this gets done I am going to drop the link. You can jump over to his channel, jump over to the platform. Actually I'll drop anybody who has anything going on outside of this show. I will drop their links and they will all be in the description. Again, thank you all for joining us on Elevated Dialogue. We are going to get into it in a few minutes, but before we do, I want to thank you all who are here tonight and those who may watch the replay on YouTube. Shout out to all the unks, the nephews, and servicemen out there. We salute you and appreciate you for what you do. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button. Y'all ready to get into it today, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Outstanding. Never a dull moment.
Blessed and highly favored.
I'm well.
Excellent.
Yeah. Hey, with the overturn of Roe versus Wade, men in many states may not have an option once the conception happens on whether or not they become fathers, dads, or whatever you may want to call it. There have been plenty of men who have gotten that call from that woman talking about she pregnant, right? Y'all remember that, right? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, dudes out there giving women hundreds of dollars for them to have an abortion. No matter how you feel about the decision, we want to talk about how this decision affects men. Dudes may not have the option to abort the child, and this is why it is important for you to have control over your penis. Penis control or dick discipline is important too, because having a rogue penis can cause men a plethora of potential issues. Today on Elevated Dialogue, we're going to talk about some of those potential issues along with some other things. As with every episode, we need to kind of sort of create a baseline for the dialogue. So we're going to start by trying to define what penis control is and or what it may look like when you have control versus when you do not. We also want to get into what good dick discipline looks like, what bad dick discipline looks like, and why it's important to have control over your penis. We also may get into how the overturn of Roe versus Wade affects men when it comes to dick discipline or penis control. So we're going to start the panel off today with Vic, and we're going to start talking about, actually, we're going to define what dick discipline or penis control is. Whatever term, verbs, pronouns, adverbs, whatever you want to use, I'm okay with it.
Well, I'm gonna call it meat management.
Meat management. Okay, there's one right there.
We're gonna use a few different names today, right here.
All right, what'd you say you're gonna call it?
Meat management.
What?
Hey,
that's exactly what it is.
Hey, for real, it's meat management. You know what I'm saying? So, like, from the get-go, definitions are so important. You know what I'm saying? So let me define it. It's just called discernment of the loins. You know what I'm saying? You figure out what you want to slap your meat up against, and then you make the right decisions about what the cost analysis is going to be. You remember last week we were talking about cost analysis and figuring out what to do. Like if the woman cheated, you know what I'm saying, and like everything's not cut and dry, right? Well, you have less of those problems to worry about how you're gonna detach yourself from if you have the right discernment about who you want to give your loins to. So discernment of the loins is the definition of dick discipline, meat management, whatever other little little words I'm gonna come up with during the course of this conversation.
I like it.
Yeah.
Who else want to give us a definition of what they think dick discipline is?
Meat management. I like it.
Or meat management.
I can't disagree with anything you just said because, you know, a huge part of my time in Canada when I was schooling was, you know, I understood what I came here for, and having a child was a no-no. So I was, you know, very selective and very cautious and careful, quote unquote, you know, responsible. So I don't really feel sorry for people who, you know, and I don't understand you have a child by accident. Let's just put it like that. I won't get too spicy yet. We got a lot of time left, but yeah, you definitely have to be careful because you don't want to put a child into, you know, a female that won't even consider how you feel about, you know, the life that could potentially be brought into the world. As for me, when I had my son, I didn't have to go through any of that. We both knew what we wanted, so it was quite easy for me. You know, I was on the same page with that person. But during my 10-year stretch in Canada, you know, every measure possible to make sure that I wasn't bringing home no grandkids to my Caribbean mom back at home, I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I came to get an education, and that was that. That was the mission. That was the only mission.
Facts. I like that. Hey, Chris from across the table. We got two Chris's on here today. So Chris and Chris from across the table.
You can just call me Christmas. My Facebook name. Make it easier.
Hey, I got a big kick out of the meat management. I got one for you. Think of like the TCCC in the military, right? It's CPPP. Carefully pick potential partners. Now, I got married when I was in my 20s, and you know, and I dated like one or two women before I ended up marrying my wife. We lasted for about a little over a decade, and I re-entered the dating game in my 30s, which is early 30s, which is a terrible time to put anybody in that position. Because we know a few things, because we've seen a few things, and we got money, so we're dangerous. And I did very dangerous things there was no meat management. I'm just going to put it that way. There was no discipline. I made tons and tons of bad decisions. And I tell you what, like, you know, culturally, to change in a decade, to see how different everybody behaved. You know, when I was in my teens and fooling around and things like that, you never once ever considered going in without some type of protection. You know, it is like that it was like blasphemous. In my 30s, I was actively encouraged not to use protection of any type. And I'm like, well, you know, this is weird. This is new. This is not what they told me about when I was reading, you know, dating advice when I was a teenager. Like what's going on? But it was across the board, and it didn't matter where I was or, you know, what country. You know, I went to the UAE, and I definitely misbehaved in the UAE, and then I moved back to the States, and, you know, continued to misbehave here. And but like, again, across the board, that culture is just, there's no emphasis on responsible decision making. And most of the time that I was put in a position to try to make responsible decisions was when I was incredibly intoxicated and not able to make responsible decisions. So yeah,
know how that is.
Meat management. I didn't have anybody to tell me how to be a freshly single guy at, you know, 33 years old. So I just went out and made bad decisions. Like, well, you know, I fumbled through life thus far, and it seems to work out pretty well. So let's just keep fumbling and see what happens. Fortunately enough, I met my wife, And the woman I'm married to now brought me back down to reality. But for the longest time, I just made terrible decisions, and again, it could have absolutely went the other way, where I didn't carefully pick potential partners, and I could have been, again, straddled with some person I don't like that I now have to pay money to. I now have to make sure that this kid makes it to 18 and does good things with their lives. And there is no option, even now with prior to the reversal of Roe v. Wade. If a woman decided to have an abortion and I was anti that, I had no option. And now, if a woman is in a position where she's forced either by law or by society or by personal choice to carry that thing to full term, I still have no options. Men in this country have no choice in it. I think Dave Chappelle put it best, is that if women have the option to abort it or not, then I should have the option to abandon it.
What?
I knew it was coming. I was waiting for it, man. You set me up perfect for that, man. Hey, look, hey, Dustin. Before you jump off too deep, man, let me have about 2 more people try to take a stab at defining what dick discipline is before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think you.
But
no, you good.
Oh, you're good, Dustin. Just from my personal experience, I'm a young dad and whatnot, and my dating is different than Dustin's and everybody else's. But I think what it boils down to is penis control or meat management is not out pumping your bank account. Let's be real. Like, if you are working a minimum wage job, you do not need to be out there slanging that meat like you Django from Unchained. You don't need to do it. You got to think about, it's like, does this risk outweigh the reward? So, and the thing is, and I think it breaks down to socioeconomics too. There's plenty of people out there with plenty of money. They can do whatever they want because they can afford. Look at Nick Cannon. He don't need to have meat management. He can afford to do what he's doing. And he has set the precedent where he is probably in a financial situation where he can pay those women to keep up with this procreating all this life. But, you see it with guys like, who's that NFL player who had like almost, I think he's got like double-digit kids. I think, is it Cromartie?
Yeah, it is Antoine. It is Roger.
Yeah. So,
Chargers, that's my team. I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You just can play 7-on-7 with each other.
Yeah. So, but his bank account can handle it. But he knew after the league, I even think he has a TV show following his life, a reality show with his kids to show like how he's trying to cope with trying to parent all them kids that he made. So, like I said, it's just making sure you're not out pumping your bank account, essentially. That's proper control.
Yeah. Justin kind of hit on it. Back in the day, it seemed like every time we talk about, penis control, one of the things that we talk about is the pregnancy. But we never really talk about the diseases and all of those other things. But I remember, like, because Dustin kind of talked about it, and it's like when we grew up, like, we got all of the, your brain on drugs. We got all of the sex ed. We got all of those commercials about AIDS and all of that stuff like this. So, like, that, not necessarily dick discipline, but like protection, you know what I mean? We got that a lot growing up. But now whenever you talk about it, it's always about just whether or not someone gets pregnant or not. So I don't want, anyone watching this to think that, the only side effect of not having penis control is just, having a baby. Also, a whole bunch of diseases out there and a whole bunch of stuff that you can get, you can't give back. What they say, herpes is like the gift that keeps on giving. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we also got to be aware of those things too.
Junior,
so,
we live long enough to become the old guys.
Hey, there you go. And I'm the old guy now. So I like it though. I'm the oldest one on here today. Yeah, I like it. Hey, one more person to try to stab at what they think penis control is, and then we're going to jump to the next question.
I think well, I was raised with, penis control means, for me, do I want to spend I look at every woman even today as a single man. I look at every woman when I was younger today. When I was younger, I was more in heat, right? You're in heat when you're younger. You just look left and you're like, ding. But for me, dick discipline always was, I looked at every girl, and I still do that today. Do I want to spend the rest of my life looking at this woman? Right? That's how I look at it. I put that kind of pressure on myself. And like Chris, I was more focused on school, getting where I need to go in my career, this and that, because I wanted my pickings to be good. I didn't want the fat chick. I wanted it to be good.
Sir.
I wanted to know what a dime felt like, right? So I was raised with that manner in dick discipline. It was very strict. I mean, I would double bag it just to make sure. What? I would actually call the girl. I would keep straight with the girl for a week just to make sure she got that period, right? Up until she got her period.
Yo, dog, right? That's so many
So I'd wait until she told me the time of the month came. Right after that, I was done with her, right? No more calls, no more nothing, no more texting. Back then it was pagers, none of that stuff. So for me, I was always like, dude. And I remember my father telling me once when he was cutting the lawn and he saw me walking with a girl, he goes, "Is that the one you're spending the rest of your life with?" "Oh, no, that's not how it's worked out." So I think it's a wise for every gentleman coming up to look at every woman you deal with and go, do you want to spend the rest of your life with her, right? Because you're going to be careful. And then you look at yourself financially, and you ask yourself, am I good for this? No matter how fine she is, right? Because I was always one hotter than the next. And after you get bored, you want to trade her in for a newer model anyways, right? Until she's the one you want to settle down with. That's how it is, right? And if she's spreading it easy for you, you ain't the first one in there. So for me, that was very important. Yeah. Very, very important. Because I always believe you're as good as the company you keep. And if she's like that with me, whatever I'm doing to her, I'm sure she's been it with somebody else. So right there, dick discipline was, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman? Right? On top of the finance, because I know that she's capable of ruining my life. And not by anything she says or does, just because if you put a child into the equation, I'm not going to be able to draw for 18 hours. I'm not going to be able to study for 12 hours, right? My weekends are gone. My coming down from a stressed day is gone. That's all gone. Now I have to turn it over, flip my life around. So gentlemen need to ask themselves that, right? Especially look at themselves where they are in life. Now, as they say, the Pookies and Ray Rays, they ain't got no place to be. That's different. But any man that's got his stuff together, got his life together, that's the first thing he should ask himself. Look at that woman and say, is that the best you can do? Because that's what you're going to be stuck with for 21 for the rest of your life, let's just say. Because that phone's going to always ring.
Antoine, define for the audience what a Pookie or a Ray Ray is.
For me, those are the guys who hang on the street corner. The guys that can't even form a proper sentence. They can't. They don't know what a school book is besides throwing it at somebody. All right, let's be real. They don't have the know-how. They make their money fast and it's fast. They're the ones that actually should write a book on game because they're getting every girl out there destroyed. They're the ones that should write a book and cash in on their skills because their boys are good. I mean, I'm serious. I've heard some lingo come out of their mouth. I'm like, how are you walking home with that? Right? I mean, education for that girl went out the window. So whatever they're saying, they're doing it right.
Without getting too far deep.
I just found it.
Ray Rays, the one that have nothing better to do, right? And they don't mind destroying lives. They don't mind destroying the woman's lives. They don't mind telling her not to study. They don't want to see her get ahead because it's all about them. Not to mention, and it's not necessarily the ghetto and the this and the that and the status in life. For me, it's a mindset of Pookie and Ray Ray. It's the mindset on how they come at you, right? And they don't bring no value into your life. You're as good as their next conquer. Like, be clear on that. That's to me what a Pookie and Ray Ray is.
What was you going to say, Chris, from across the table? Go ahead.
They think it's actually a cool thing to do that. Like, that's the end thing to do is to be out here, is to just be out here, just frivolous with your seed. Yeah. And that's why I think this conversation is important because that's not something that's talked about a lot. Like, we have a huge responsibility that nobody talks about. We carry the spark of life, and it's a huge responsibility. And like Antoine was saying, the Pookies and Ray Rays is just out here, and they're applauded for it.
Exactly. And Chris, I want to say another thing to that. People say, oh, it's the woman's responsibility. I'll say this. It's the man's responsibility up until she spreads her legs. And after she spreads her legs, she takes over because she controls everything after that. You control it before, she controls it after. That's the way it is. Because without you, there ain't no her. So you get it. You get the decisions before on how to keep it right, straight, do the right thing. She gets it afterwards, right? And with this Roe versus Wade thing, I'm telling you right now, a lot of things are gonna change now. Now you better make sure. I'm hoping the baby mama rate goes down. That's what I'm hoping for, so we can get some fresh ones to build with. That's me, but that's how I'm looking at it.
Antoine said he the fresh one to build with. Ladies out there, if y'all watching, Antoine, Christopher, that's 555.
God damn it, man! I don't want to go too young.
Antoine to manage his meat for this moment. You know what I'm saying? This is like an exchange of wealth in the stock market. You know what I'm saying?
But hey, look,
fresh one to build with, man. Goddamn, there's always some baggage in your life.
You said Antoine slid that in there. I was like, oh, Antoine unplugged himself real quick. He was smooth with it too. Real smooth with it.
Question: do you want kids and do you have kids?
I'm right there with him though.
Yeah, Chris right there too. A matter of fact, Chris, go ahead and talk about it, and then also after you finish talking about that, hit the question at the bottom, and then after that, I want to hear from John before we go to the next person.
I guess my whole thing about it is there's, like I was saying earlier, there's a level of responsibility that comes with having your seed, which is why I am very, very careful about it. Like I'm not out here like that. Condoms are on my grocery list, so I make sure that if I'm going to be active, I'm going to be protecting myself the right way, because the sexual marketplace is open and women can literally do whatever they want. So if they're allowed to be so sexually open, then it's up to us to be sexually responsible, if that makes any sense.
I follow.
Yeah, I'm tracking what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yes. Who else? Why else? Because this is the very important piece right here. Why is it important for men to control penis discipline? That question is jacked up. Let me fix that real quick. But y'all know what I mean.
What does it say? Very important about sons. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
You said why is it important for men to control?
To control their penis.
Because they can ruin their lives and they can ruin somebody else's life. Like straight up. You know how much unwanted, like flat that can be in your life if you align yourself with the wrong relationship that produces a child with the wrong woman. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us have problems that we don't even know we have until we start either getting to a point in life we supposed to start making professional transitions and you don't have great conflict resolution skills. You got shitty body language. You know what I'm saying? You're tactless and hard to have a conversation with. A lot of that stuff comes from unresolved conflicts from your childhood. You know what I'm saying? And how you interact with people. And you don't even know it. Sometimes you have a trigger response to something that didn't have anything to do with you, but you just got a response that doesn't even match the situation now. You know what I'm saying? Now you're a victim and it wasn't no crime. So a lot of these things pivot off of the people you choose. And that depends on where you are in your life, because you're going to choose somebody that reflects what you think you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously. So if you out here putting meat in meth heads, get ready to have a meathead meth baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
How does the decisions of another man affect me?
I don't understand that one. What do you mean a decision of? I'm lost on that one. Put some context behind it.
Yeah, give me an example, Tony.
Yeah, give an example, Tony.
For example, you guys, the woman that you deal with, that you put your dick in, how does that affect me?
I don't think it's meant to affect or to kind of lead to affecting you. It's more from a parental standpoint. Like, we need to be having these conversations with our children, and we need to be having these conversations with young men. And to prevent future issues of this, not so much that we can do anything about past tense or bad decisions that any of us have already made. You know,
so the discussion is to prevent in the future.
What would you tell your son about how to choose women and how to control his penis?
Make good decisions.
Make good choices.
Yeah,
the thing is,
I
don't understand. I think it's like a form of, if that got, like how you said, the Pookies and the Ray Rays, if they make their decision to make their decision, what they do, it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form.
No, but I think Antoine was coming from a position where he's like, I don't want my son to grow up to be a Pookie or a Ray Ray, and I don't want my daughter to be attracted to Pookies and Ray Rays.
It starts with him. It starts with him educating his child.
Right, and
and I would educate my child not to be concerned about what Pookie and Ray Ray is doing. Focus on what he's doing. I have taught him.
I think you're missing what I'm saying. I don't really care what Pookie and Ray Ray does.
Oh, you do?
No. Listen, are you here to combat? Are you here to combat? You're here to have a discussion? What are you here for? Because I'm telling you, I don't care. If you don't put words in my mouth, because that's not me. You're saying it, and you're allowed to. It's your opinion, and you're allowed, right? I don't care what Pookie and Ray Ray does. They're tarnishing enough women out there. That's why the stats are so high, right? Because if you go by stats, there's fewer men getting more women pregnant. Right?
No, hold on. You can't assume. Wait, hold on. You can't assume that every woman was impregnated by Pookie and Ray Ray. There's plenty non-Pookie and Ray Rays out here doing the same thing.
If you go by stats, listen. If it's not my stats. If you go by stats, there are fewer men getting more women pregnant than there are more men that have babies. That's not me. Look it up, right? Now, if I go off of that, really don't care. I don't care what Pookie and Ray Ray does because that's not my crowd. Really don't care. I'm going to educate my son not to be like that if I have one. And I'm going to tell my daughter, that's what you stay away from. That's me, right? But it's sad that there's good men out there that would leave, good women out there that would leave a good man for a Pookie and Ray Ray. So I would educate. I wish people would be elevated to say, hey, you know what? Have some sense of morals and values and use better judgment to not do that to someone. But that's in a utopian world, right? But when you go, when you're running game on a girl, So you're doing it with intent, right? So you're doing it with intent, which makes it even worse.
Well, hold up. There's intentions and there's responsible. I could play that game and go in and get what I want and still responsibly have sex with that young lady that I want.
Yeah, but your intent is not to marry her and have a kid with her and live a happy life. Your intent is to get it, to tap it.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So when your intent is like that, would you call that good morals and values?
No.
Okay, that's what, and that to me
defines. But hold up.
Wait, let me finish.
Morals and values has. Hold up.
You said no.
Can I please finish this one?
Wait. Let me finish. You said no. You said no, and I said great. That to me is what defines a section of the Pookies and the Ray Rays because they don't care. You said no, and I said to me that's my definition. So if my definition is that's part of it, that's my definition, and that's what I would tell any woman to avoid.
But you're making the assumption that every woman that has had a baby with a man that was a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's not the case.
I never said that.
I never said that. You said Pookies and Ray Rays are out there ruining these women. They said that. That's what you said.
Are they not?
Antoine, that's probably a very small percentage of
That's what I just said. Did I not give you the stats on that?
He did say that there was a small set of men that are impregnating a lot of women.
Pause real quick.
Pause real quick. I'm gonna mute everybody's mic. Hey, listen up real quick. Hey, we didn't got way off track. All right, we need to get back to why is it important for men to control their penis. All right, so whoever gonna go, let's rock with it. Okay. We got way off topic.
To achieve a better life.
Let me go ahead and start us back off then. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Why is it important for men to control their penis? You can ruin your life, bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you can take on some unnecessary responsibilities. You could be chasing the imagery of something that looks good and it's really a distraction. You can inherit somebody else's problems. You can create some that you can't recover from as efficiently as you'd like to. You can alter your life in a way where you take your own opportunities away if you don't choose correctly. That's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's coming to save you. So whenever you choose to be with somebody, that's your life raft, that's your vessel. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that I want to leave everybody with on this, just because you get with a woman doesn't mean that you lose your sense of control of self. Number one, that's on you. And then the other thing is to understand they can champion motherhood all they want to. She ain't a creator until you make her one.
Yep. You control it before, she controls it after.
Exactly. And the point that I was going to make is my moral compass and my responsibility during and after sex, there's no relation between the two. At the end of the day, whether I was having sex with someone I wanted to be with for the rest of my life or someone I just wanted to be with for tonight, I made sure everything that I needed to do to ensure that I wasn't having a child was done. And that's where it just falls on responsibility. You can't control the context in which people have sex, but you can control the responsibility aspect from your end. And that's basically all I did. That's really all you have to do. It's not something where you have to say, okay, you have to limit the amount of times you have sex or the amount of women you have sex with. You just have to make sure you're protecting yourself every time and taking all the necessary precautions. She need a pill, take her ass to the store, go get it for her. Make sure she taking shit like that. I ain't never had no kids I didn't want to have. And I never had to pay for no abortions either. So it's about responsibility. And like Vic said, you don't want to procreate with the wrong person because, a lot of these women, you don't even know mentally where they're at, what they're going to be teaching your kid. Like, what types of things they allow, what type of people they're going to have your children around, and that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in. So you just got to be responsible.
And that's a wise decision from any man. I mean, you look at every woman, you go, which category is she in? You make that judgment. You look at her. You know what you're out for. You know when to make that decision. I think every man needs to focus on that. You need to focus on, look at your life first before you look at her and go, okay, where am I in life? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, what category does she fit in? That's it. And then go about your business. Every man needs to be wise like that. I don't see what's the big deal in looking at like that way. I mean, over 17 forms of contraceptive. You can't find one? Shit, man. The pull-out method does not work, people. The pull-out method does not work. I went to sex education. They told me. I learned that part. And men need to know that too. Right? You can catch things other than getting her pregnant. There's things out there now that kill. And I think every man needs to think of that. Wait a minute. Whoa. And believe me, if she's letting you in that easy, you ain't the first one. You're not. You're no king.
I agree. And I think, one thing you can't overlook when it comes to why it's important for men to have penis control or control their penis is, as you guys are talking about, Vic hit on talking about, resources and money and stuff like that. Like you bring a child, like kids are expensive. You know what I mean? You don't know, like if your child come out with a disability, and all these different things, the number of things that can go wrong are endless. But at the same time is, like Antoine said, you could find yourself in a situation that you have no control over. You know what I mean? And you could, who knows what could happen? You know what I mean? So dick discipline also comes, I think it goes into, locations to actually where you go to get with these women. You know what I mean? Backseat of the cars, over somebody's house, all of those things, that's important when it comes to dick discipline too. Because everybody you sleep with, you see it all the time on the internet, TikTok, all these different things. Whereas you find dudes, rolling up and, they over there smashing. And then like the boyfriend or the husband come in like with a pistol and stuff. You like, dude standing there like what the heck? You know what I mean? He thinking the coast's clear. You know how dudes are. And she over there scamming the whole time. You know what I mean? Out there. So you could find yourself in a situation like that if if you ain't being smart with your dick discipline.
One thing I'd like to add, Junior, if I could, I think Victor nailed it with you got to be financially responsible. I think Chris got it with the, just be physically responsible, watching what, use protection, things like that. Emotional responsibility is probably something that we definitely want to have that conversation with young men. Be honest. Like, don't go into this like, I love you forever, but in the back of your mind, you just want to smash. I mean, it's 2022, and I've seen it firsthand. I'm not proud of it, but if you tell somebody up front what your intentions are, maybe they should have the same intentions you do. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you tomorrow. We're just here for tonight, and we're moving on.
I've done it. I've done it. That is a thing.
So I
have flat out said, "Hey, I'm trying to get it popping. What you trying to do?" And 2 nights after that, she's at my crib. Yeah, like that's a thing. I honestly, like, nowadays, I believe that the women will respect you more if you're honest, because that gives them the option to say, yes, I'm gonna do this, or no, I'm not gonna do this. And if she says yes, then that gives you the thought process, like, okay, she said that we doing this. I don't know what she's on, but I know I got this box of Trojans on my counter that I can use. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I said in the beginning, the marketplace is too wide open and women are allowed to be free. So since they're allowed to be free, we have to be disciplined, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that catch the L. It's not them, it's us.
So
you understand what I'm saying?
For us as men, to especially raising young men, be responsible, both fiscally and personally, but be honest. Just be honest with your emotions and your intentions.
It's even with being honest, that don't always work though.
Thank you.
You have to, honestly,
that's not what we're saying.
You have to
not
read
for the one that you
saying.
really
That's
want to
not
hear.
what we're saying. We're not saying that it
You have to
always
read
works. What we're saying is we're being upfront about what we want instead of camouflaging it behind we want this 90s R&B type of relationship with you, when really we just want to see what we just want to see what you working with. You understand what I'm saying?
I get
right.
that,
You understand what I'm saying? We're not saying
But
it always works out.
Risk,
it's
though.
just being honest.
That's a risk. What if she don't go for it?
Of course, it's a risk.
And then
you
really want to
that's another thing that I want to talk about.
And you lose out on it.
That's another thing that I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
That's another thing that I want to talk about.
Lose out.
Exactly.
Wait
a minute.
I wanted to say something before I got blanked.
Go ahead, John. Yeah.
All right,
and
I'll
then
mute
back
my
to you,
mic.
Chris, from across.
All right, so I've listened to everybody, and one of the things that I'll say is this that I haven't really heard is dick discipline comes with maturity. It's if you don't have the maturity to be disciplined and say, okay, just like you said, take that loss. If you don't have the discipline to say, okay, that loss is worth it, then of course you're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna run game. I'll speak from my own personal experience. I've been celibate for over a year now. That's a personal choice that I made because I decided my focus is going to be on myself and my own growth. If you don't have the maturity to do that, then you're not going to do that. It's back in high school, and I don't know how old everybody else is. I'm 37, but when I was in high school, it was cool to sleep with a whole bunch of females. That was cool back then. You know, the person that was sleeping with a bunch of different females, they were thought to be cool. That's not the case anymore. But yet that's still.
When did that stop being the case?
Huh?
When did that stop being the case?
When you grow up and you start realizing. Listen, another thing men need to have to understand: if you're with a woman and you look at that woman, if you don't have dick discipline, you're saying she's more important than what you got going on in your life.
Exactly.
That's a fact. And I look at every woman and I go, no. Right? You know, if you're in a bar, what you're there for. You know, if you're in a proper setting, what you're there for. So if you're looking at this woman in front of you and she's like this, okay, what do you want to do with her? Do you want to pursue it? You want to take her out for dinner? Today, don't even do dinner. A woman has to pass the coffee test first to earn the dinner. And if she's lucky, you'll take her back to her house, right? Because you control that. That's dick discipline. That's like saying you are never going to be more important than what I go home to, ever. Until you got this on your finger. Now we're talking.
That goes back to the maturity though, because with that this day and age, with how women are, you ain't gonna be able to just say that with any female. I'll speak one personal experience that I had here recently. I actually asked the female out, and it was through Facebook, which I've learned Facebook ain't worth a damn when it comes to talking to women. But I asked the female out. She asked what type of date would I like to go on. I said a picnic or a walk in the park because I don't know you, so I'm not fixing to sit up here and say I'm fixing to take you to a nice restaurant to spend a bunch of money on you, and I don't know you, and this is going to be a dead end for me. So I said a walk in the park or a picnic. She decided to make a whole post saying, number one, a picnic in the date. Then number two, she decided to try to talk shit about me, saying that y'all dudes better step y'all game up, talking about picnics. That ain't no damn date. And I'm like, okay, so because it's not something that you feel like is a date, it's disrespectful, or it's whatever she thought, because I end up unfriending her. But the thing about it is, this day and age, society has taught females that what you spend on a female is what more important than how you feel about her. So that's
John,
why I said,
So John, why can't you just tell her? Why can't you? Well, that just tells me a lot about you, right?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. But that's
all I would say to a woman. That tells me a lot about you. You're fine, but you ain't that fine. A bus is always gonna come through. There's always the one that's gonna do the heavy lifting. And you got to understand, this here is gold. You can go for bronze, but you got gold in front of you. That's how I look at it. That's how men.
I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is that goes back to the maturity. The thing, what we're talking about is this takes having a mature conversation with adults that know how to communicate. We have to be able to see, okay, we may not see eye to eye, but we can agree to disagree, or we can agree. That having dick discipline, that means you have to be mature enough to say, I got dick discipline. If you're not mature enough to do that, then this conversation is kind of pointless. That's the basis of it. You got to be mature enough to say, okay, you know what? I ain't gonna stick my dick in everything walking.
Exactly, man.
What about being able to compartmentalize? So I'm the type of person, I compartmentalize everything. So I control my sexual encounters, and my sexual encounters has nothing to do with what I need to do professionally and what I need to do in school. So let's say if I know I want to, I guess, hit a lot of chicks or whatever, I'm going to want to do that regardless. So I'm going to find a way to do that responsibly and come out without kids. And I've done it. That's what I've done. When I went to Canada, I had no interest in girlfriend and that stuff. I just wanted to have fun, like I said, get an education. In 10 years there, I had one girlfriend. And that was for about a year and a half. The rest of the time, I was single and enjoying myself responsibly. That never interfered with anything I needed to do, again, professionally. And with my schoolwork, I feel as though discipline is more so being able to control your sexual encounters responsibly by using discretion and understanding of your current situation and what you can and can't afford to have right now, and separating that from what you need to do professionally, and being able to compartmentalize that and have that as something that doesn't, like you guys say, cost you in the long run. And that's the way I approach pretty much everything. I don't let those two things spill over into one another, and I feel as though that is my quote unquote discipline.
Let me say this is what you said. All right, this is my personal feelings on that. I don't knock anybody that feels like I said, a woman being a distraction. That's everybody's personal choice. I made the choice to be celibate for over a year because it is a distraction for me. If you set goals to accomplish something, anything can be a distraction. Looking at TV can be a distraction. Playing on Facebook is a distraction. Playing games on your phone is a distraction. A woman can be a distraction. If she's not pushing you or helping you or motivating you to get to the next level, she's a distraction. That's what I mean when I say I chose to leave that out. Now, it may not be a distraction to you, but it was for me, because I know I spent more time trying to appease her than focusing on what I need to focus on. So everybody's different. Everybody doesn't focus like I do. My focus was okay, I need to leave these females alone. Fucking and all that ain't helping me get to where I want to be. So let me focus on what I need to focus on, which is myself. Everybody's not like that. So if you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish without doing that, hey, all blessings to you. Everybody's not like that though. I'm not one of them, because like I said, I like the quality time. I like being able to lay up on her. I like her laying up under me. But that's a distraction if it's not helping me get to where I want to go.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, because I'm glad you said that, because
go ahead, BT.
You know your surroundings, and that's great. You know what your limits are and what your limits are not. So that's a great balance that you have going on, and you recognize it.
So I'm introverted, so I don't allow anyone to absorb all of my time. Like with stuff I have to get done, like to get my stuff done. So
well, you gave that away when you said 10 years.
Well, we want to hear from BT. Y'all already talked. So
now you get. I was gonna ask John a question, because you said I don't know how long ago that when you asked Shorty out on the picnic, if you didn't want to have sex with her, why'd you ask her out?
Say that again.
You said you were celibate, but you asked that girl out on a date. I was just curious, if you didn't want to have sex with her, then why did you ask her out?
Got interested in getting to know her. It was more than anything to see if it would be something, anything more than just a friend.
Did you let her know that?
So I mean, would you really call that like dating with a purpose? Because I mean, I'll be honest, man. I don't necessarily keep like women friends like that, because the advice or the things I can't really get that from them as I would men, right? This is why we're here talking to each other. So if you weren't sexually interested, which I'll be honest, man, I think that's cap, bro. I mean, when we see somebody, the reason we decide to talk to them is because we're physically attracted to them, right? There's a physical attraction there when we see them, and innately that's like, I want to be physical with this woman. You know what I'm saying? So again, I kind of asked the question: is that really with a purpose? If you're not really dating her for the purpose of being with her fully, you just want to just talk to her, And for
me, the purpose isn't really sexual. I'm not gonna say I'm past that, but I am past that. It's not about sex. If I was married once, I was married for 7 years, and I actually enjoyed being married. I was just married to the wrong person. When I started my first business, I didn't have the support that I wanted. So now, if I ask a female out, it's more or less to get to know her on a personal level. It doesn't have to be about sex. If that happens, cool. But that's not what I'm looking for, because I don't care about having sex anymore. It's like my personal feelings is this: sex is it's like it's like hitting the lottery. There's a lot of benefits, but there's a lot of downsides. What? And I'm looking at it like this: I don't really care about the upsides right now, because my focus is me. So if I get to know a female, it's not about sex. I don't care about sex. If that happens, cool. If it doesn't, cool. It's for me, I'm keeping that emotional attachment away from the relationship. That's just me.
All things are true.
Yeah. All right.
Listen,
all things are true. I mean, my thing is like, if he can rock like that, but I think this is a good point to talk about being able to have balance. And if that works for John, fine. That wouldn't work for me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if it works for him, then all things are true, so be it. But I do, he does have a point, when he talks about, women can be a distraction, and what, that's why it's so important for men to be whole and know who they are before they jump into a relationship. You know what I mean? And that's where the maturity piece comes in. You know what I mean? I ain't like John. You know what I mean? If I was to reach, I'm getting ready to get married, but if I was to reach out somebody on the DM, it wouldn't really be to get to know them. But I also understand that everybody doesn't move the way I do. You know what I mean? And stuff like this. And at my age of 46, I'm not looking for new friends, whether they be male or female at this point. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents. But I do want to hear a little bit more from BT. But before I hear from BT again, I want to hear from Chris from across the table. I want everybody to be able to jump in.
I think Dustin made a really good point earlier about about being honest and about being willing to take an L. There are a lot of men out here that will give this fantasy projection about what they want about what they think the woman wants to hear, instead of just being flat out honest. And they're not honest because they don't want to take an L. I don't have a problem taking the L. I would rather be honest and let you know up front what it is. And if you say yes, cool. And if you say no, okay. I at least I gave you the option and I didn't fill your head with a bunch of nonsense that I know ain't right. You understand what I'm saying? And there's like I said earlier, man, controlling your seed and controlling your sexual nature. And there's a saying, you'll lose money chasing women, but you'll never lose women chasing money. You understand what I'm saying? So when y'all talk, when the whole financial stability part came into play, there's a direct correlation. The more you're on your purpose, the more attractive you are, and the more attractive you are, the more options you have. That's just how it is. That's really just how it is.
Yeah.
What you say, Antoine?
Yeah.
As long as men, we say about the height.
Chris is gonna relate to this. I always say, looks and height goes out the window when you're standing on your wallet today. It does.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry to tell you, and I can tell you another dick discipline that I have. For me, I'm not saying for everybody. All right, because like I said, I was the one that focused more on my career, so I don't have to save up money for a wedding. I just wanted to have it. I wanted the car, I can buy it now, right? But I also had dick discipline when I was in a relationship to tell the girl, listen, what we're gonna do tonight, we're canceling because I got an important meeting to go to, and I have to make this meeting because it came up out of the whim. That guy became available. She went off on me, and I said, listen, there's nothing, you're not gonna come between me paying my mortgage. You're not gonna come between that. And this is a chance for me to meet the person I've always wanted to meet. There's a bunch of you out there, but there's only one of him. And that's dick discipline. Because I could have said to him, tonight's a rough night. Can we move it? I didn't say nothing. I just said, you know what? I'm available. And I just looked at her and said, ain't happening. She's like, oh, I can't believe it. Ain't happening. And, you know, she slammed the door, did her thing and all this sort of stuff. You have to have dick discipline because that advanced me. That one little decision that I made moved me forward. And I think every man should be able to do that. You know, cuddling, I can't take cuddling to pay my mortgage. I can't take cuddling to pay the bills. Men need to be structured like that today. The world's not getting any easier. Pretty soon it'll be the have and have-nots. There ain't gonna be no middle, right? Because you always have to keep excelling. Look at the inflation that's happening right now. Look at the prices of gas. That's one less case of beer. That's reality, right? And that those dinners now that used to be $50, $60, they're $100 now to take a girl to dinner. I don't know where you're going out for dinner. That's $100 easily. And that's not even putting in a movie, right? And that's like eliminating coffee. So you have to have dick discipline and you have to make mature decisions. Now, what John said about he's not into sex and all that, you got to find a woman that's in church or something or an omnish, because today women require that affection. And they look at you and say, are you able to give me that affection? Now, if you don't have any practice in it, if you don't have any practice in that area, they will seek it elsewhere. It's just the way human nature is. Women need that nurturing. They need that attention. And if you're saying that's not a priority, I can guarantee you the average woman's going to say, well, I don't know about that one. We got to work in that area. That's an area we're going to have to try to work with because she's going to want to work with you, right? I'm just saying that's my experience from all the women that I've come in contact with. And like I said, I was the extreme in the opposite direction. I take full responsibility of that.
Yeah, I think everybody said a lot of points collectively that makes sense, man. But the one thing that I hear that's kind of across the board is it kind of seems like y'all see women in this, you know, like this scarcity kind of frame. Yeah, I mean, like it ain't an L. If Shorty said no, she said no. Ask a friend or move on to the next one. Like that's not an L. You know what I mean? Like you can't see it as like I gotta lie about this or I gotta mislead about that so I can get the box or whatever. You know, yes, most women, especially now, right? Because women's sexuality and promiscuity is accepted, right? So of course they're more willing to be like, yeah, I'll smash tonight, like it's whatever, right? You can do that, but I ain't gonna cap, right? And this is kind of goes into what John, what you're saying, bro. You gotta be able to say that. You know what I'm saying? And the idea that men are celibate intentionally, I don't necessarily believe. I believe that we're not putting that men are not putting in the work to get the type of woman they want, so they get the type of woman that they can get or that what's available to them, right? And they end up hitting that. And let's be real, like that's what's gonna happen. Because you know, we see it as like, you know, and everybody's been there where like everybody's got that one in their head, they're like, yo, the homies don't know, it's good, it's all good, right? I can go ahead and knock that off. you know, and nobody can tell, but we'll still do it. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things right there, because you're seeing it from that kind of scarcity mindset. Though, if you want the best you can get and the baddest you can get, you know what I'm saying, you got to work for it. The same way, if Shorty's not up to par, she's gonna get with, you know, y'all say the Pookie Ray Ray type, right, or whatever that is, right? Because that's the level that she's gonna get. But again, like John also saw, you know, he wanted to take Shorty out on a picnic and all. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? But she's looking at she's looking at ballers all day on the internet. And they doing all this other nonsense, so it's like not enough. You know what I'm saying? When it come across and dealing with women,
yeah, like she's starting to compare herself. Compare.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. She's looking at
BT,
what her friends got.
BT, you're the youngest on this panel, right? BT's the youngest, I think. Are you the youngest?
Possibly.
Okay, so let's just say we all, and I don't know what's wrong with taking an L. Come on, when we all were coming up and we went into the club, we go, okay, let's get these 10 no's over with so we can get to that one yes. And you went not. You know like you would. That. You know you ain't the most handsome. You said, I'm gonna get it all. I'm gonna get 10 out of the way so I can get that one yes. You know, rather she's the last one at the bar that's drunk, but you know you're looking for that one. So you're gonna do it when you're younger. And then as you get older, you mature. As you get older, you mature, you realize, you know what? My car's starting to give me some attention. Oh, okay, you have to buy drinks at the bar. Oh, okay, it's the Rolex. Oh, it's this. Got you. Okay. I'm with you. You know what? I'm 5'6". Yeah. Let me walk with my friend that's 6 foot so he can bring the girls over here. Then they find out who you are and you start piggybacking. And then you get the leftovers that don't want him. Hey, you know the game as you're coming up, it changes. Right? So this whole, when men tell me they're celibate and there's this and that, I go, brother, you just don't have game. I'm sorry. You just don't, because any girl that put themselves in front of you, you're saying, no, I'm just going to cuddle with you and take you to popcorn and a cock. Really? You know why you in the club. You know why you asking her out. You're looking for a future. She might be the wife. And I don't blame women. If you're a boring guy, I don't blame women for leaving. Why would they stay? What incentive are you giving them? Okay, there's only so much cuddling they can do. Sometimes they want sex in the backseat of a car. Sometimes they want you to throw them on the bed and not just place them down. Women have needs too. So all these guys that are trying to be this whole romantic, I get it. That's Valentine's, Christmas, a little New Year's, function, black tie event. But then come on, let's face it. You want her out of that dress. That's all I'm saying. What?
Right. Hey, you gotta interrupt his ramble, man. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, you're going to have to start cutting his damn mic.
Hey, but it be so on cue. Like it be so on cue.
No, man, because he be digging a hole for himself. Because I just
what did I say that's wrong? What did I say that's wrong?
But Antoine,
what did I say that's wrong?
Antoine, I'm
explain it no more. We cool.
Hey, my experiences were different from yours.
Man, you had 10 years celibate. You right there, you said a lot. When you said 10 years, I was like, he don't relate to that.
Hey, all things are true. That man said what he said, and that's what it is. It's a lot that you probably said that people don't believe. You see what I'm saying?
You said you didn't mess with anything for 10 years.
No, not him. That was.
Who said that?
John said he was celibate for a year. I think Chris was saying he didn't have a relationship for 10 years.
I said I wasn't doing relationships.
Yeah, he said he wasn't doing relationships.
He said I thought you meant the whole thing behind the relationship.
No. That's why I said you.
All right, Chris, I stand corrected.
See that? That grave.
I can take an L. I can still take an L. I still
that's that grave.
I can still take an L.
You want to impress us? Take an L in silence. The next question is like, what is it? What are some potential risks of not practicing penis control? Right?
No. We're gonna jump right into the other one, man.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go right to the other one. Hey, look, it's at the bottom. In what way does overturn of Roe versus Wade affect men when it comes to dick discipline? Everybody watched it. Everybody's seen the decision. Yada yada yada. Men are going to have to move differently now. You know what I mean? Like I said at the beginning of the show. You ain't got no more paths. You can't con old girl into giving her some money, and now you know what I mean. Your problem, if you want to call it that, goes away. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to hear from everybody over here. So let's make sure that we gave some good solid points, man, some good talking points, and some good solutions if we can come up with some. But I definitely want to hear from everybody on how this affects us.
Chris,
Okay.
go
I'm gonna mute my
first.
mic.
I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead, Chris, from across the table.
I'm going to go the utopian route when it comes to Roe v. Wade. I'm going to hope that more men understand the responsibility of having and carrying the spark of life. And I'm hoping that they become more conscious about whose club they shoot up. You understand what I'm saying? I'm hoping that the whole thought process behind sex in general, as far as we go, changes, because like you said, they can no longer coerce women into having these abortions. At least that's what the mainstream media will have us believe. And I'm not saying that it's all men. I'll never say all men, all women. I'll always say that it's the men that have been allowed to represent us in the mainstream media that are doing this. Because on my channel, I interview average dudes, and ain't none of them doing none of that. They're all extremely careful, and they all understand what that responsibility means. So I'm hoping that there's a shift in the men's thought process behind the whole shooting the club up thing, because like I said, it's on us now, it's not on them. I'm also starting to see women lose their minds because their hustle is about to come up short, because they can't be frivolous either. So I'm hoping we get back to the way it used to be instead of how it is now. That's just my take on it.
I've been quiet for too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll say this right here, and I'm not going to take the utopian route. This is about accountable masculinity, top to bottom, period.
Facts.
Okay, so write that down. That's a good little buzzword.
That's a good buzzword. Hashtag that. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Put it on a shirt.
Yeah. Accountable masculinity encompasses penis control. You see what I'm saying? Like it speaks for itself. And if you have a conflict about, like, you don't know what accountability is, or you know what I'm saying, what masculinity is in that same conversation, accountable masculinity encompasses all of it. It doesn't matter if you're alpha, beta, none of that stuff. Don't get caught up in the designations. Now, one of the things about Roe v. Wade is it always comes back to a similar phrase that I have, that all things are true. You can only have what you can afford. Okay, and that don't have nothing to do with money. Your attitude, everything, your demeanor, your presence affords you certain opportunities. You know what I'm saying? It creates opportunities for you. Depends on, you know what I'm saying, what you got to accommodate your presence, right? So everybody has the outcomes that they participated in, you know? So Roe v. Wade overturning, you're going to find out or realize that some people were really operating without any accountability on both sides of the discussion. But I do think that if you're in control of the inventory, it is your responsibility to shut it down first. So it doesn't matter how many men want to get at you. There's always going to be some exceptions. Women have to control their bodies too. Just like if we're talking about dick discipline, you know what I'm saying? They need to be talking about pussy protection.
Or leg discipline, make it sound like nicer.
Yeah, like, come on, like you can't have one discussion, you know what I'm saying? Although this panel is full of men and we having our discussion or whatever, but we have to carry ourselves. That forces them to have that conversation internally too. You know what I'm saying? They got to really look at it like, hey, they ain't really messing with us like that no more, because that's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Now it's an invoice really assigned to it now. You know what I'm saying? It's a deposition. It's some legal paperwork that go along with these ramifications. There's something else that goes along with having a good time, like the mystique. Dare I even say, I say mystique with, you know what I'm saying, some quotation marks. 10 years ago, it was cool to be out here, you know what I'm saying, popular. Let me not necessarily say cool, but popular, like from athletes to entertainers, where they can go, you know what I'm saying, make as many kids they want to make, you know what I'm saying, which is all fine and good. They're doing what they can afford. The problem is broke people in different tax brackets looking at what rich people doing and thinking they can do the same thing, or it justifies what they've already done. So accountable masculinity is what we want to graduate to. You know what I'm saying? Because again, solutions lead to evolution, period. You know what I'm saying? Because when you know better, you do better, you behave better, and everything else, it gets analyzed a little bit differently instead of scrutinized. But like when you start thinking about the cost and the responsibility of things, that's a conversation that men always have because there's metrics, there's logic, there's numbers, the math got to line up. I don't give a damn if you're talking about flipping a house or putting a kid in college. You know what I'm saying? There's numbers that men have to account for if they're going to be accountable, you know what I'm saying, about the woman that they are having a child with, you know what I'm saying, and ensuring that child gets a chance to take advantage of every opportunity that's out there. But accountable masculinity is the way that we need to look at this thing from going forward. So Roe v. Wade it should be a spark for men to be more accountable about who they give their energy to, period and point blank. And anything you give your energy to is an investment. So what's the return of your investment?
A kid.
Yeah, man, you got to be able. I'll be honest, man. You got to be able to afford it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of the discipline too. You know, if you know that, hey, I can only have one child or I can only have one girlfriend, then that's where you need to be, and you need to play at your level. The same way you rent your house or buy your house at the price it's at because that's what you can afford. Because let's be real, this costs. These decisions cost. You know, they can cost you for the next 18 years. They can cost you your health. And you need to be able to play with it or gamble with what you can afford to lose. And in this case, I don't think anything's on the table for that men want to lose. You know what I mean? Anything from child support, stuff like that, health care issues. Roe v. Wade, the overturn, man. When I saw it, I didn't even really think much about it. I just thought, okay, well, that's one way to kind of maybe slow things down or tighten it because it's not going to stop, right? It ain't going to stop happening. But if we have, if there's a harsher consequence on the back end of the decisions, we're more likely to think about it more, and plant that seed. And I don't know if it's hitting time for our generation, but as we have this conversation now, because I got a son, you know what I mean? And one day, he's gonna be knocking them down, and he's got to understand that if he's doing that, if he's active with these women, that there's a consequence to the decisions that he's gonna make, right? The same way with us. And if you're not going to be accountable, then don't be hitting. Purely simple, man. I don't understand why it's such a big topic, to be honest with you. I mean, it's very simple, man. You know what I mean? The fact that we got to break it down like this is just kind of baffling to me. It's like, you do what you can afford to do. You know what I'm saying? If you can't afford to take on these responsibilities, then you don't need to be doing it. So I know we have other outside influence that tell us otherwise, but I think you got to be about that. And if you're a man that's on your purpose, you know what things coming over, and that's got to be the risk versus reward, right? You know what I mean? Is this worth it based on what I get out of it? And anybody who's on their purpose can evaluate that, because you do it on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's a good thing. I'll be honest, man. Like, if I'm gonna deal with the woman sexually,
I think so too. I think it's good.
No, I was saying, if I'm gonna deal with women sexually, I'm gonna be protected.
I'd like to ask you.
Okay, I'm going to take a different approach for me, right? Because I have extremely good dick discipline, right? And I take pride in that. But this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you why I think Roe versus Wade, I feel bad for the women, because I never believe no one could take away my right to do what I want to do with my body, right? And this, in a way, takes that part from women, right? Because two things. No one should tell a woman what to do with her body but that woman. She has to make smart decisions. It's her body. Just like no one could tell you what to do with your dick and what to do with your body. And Roe versus Wade takes that part of the power away from them, right? And it puts it in the hands of the government, right? And there's some women that get under some serious duress that need to get an abortion, that can't. Yes, there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there that make it bad, like everything else. It only takes a few before it becomes the many, and they make a good thing become a bad thing. Right? But deep down inside, it's a good thing. Now, the good thing I think about Roe versus Wade is that now these women have to make smarter decisions who they spread it for, period. They're going to have to make smarter decisions. So that's the good thing that I'm looking at it. But the bad thing is I feel bad. The government already told me I have no control when a woman gets pregnant, right? From the minute they get pregnant, the courts take over. I'm done. I already know that. We don't have any power in the courts. Maybe we have about 5%, but at the end of the day, the judge is going to say the child is better off with the mother. So that part I get. But I feel bad that they lose that part, the good ones, to have control over what happened to them, rather it be rape, incest. They got to come up with a solution to get over there. You know, a high school girl can't, you know, she can't tell her father, she can't tell her mother, she can't even talk to the teacher about it anymore because it affects the teachers, right? This Roe versus Wade goes deep with them. So I feel bad in that part. But at the same time, I'm glad on another part because now women are going to have to be, one, more accountable, and two, they're going to really have to really decide what they're doing with their bodies. It's going to at least give them a trigger to wake up to reality. Because after that first one, you're going to be looking left and right. Where do I go to get rid of this thing if you don't really want it? I'm just saying. That's how I look at it from someone who has dick discipline. And it's for the men that have
you assume.
Go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead.
You would assume that would be the case, but I live in a country where abortions are illegal. Can you hear me?
No.
You're still cutting that in and out, Chris.
Go ahead, JL.
Is it any better?
So my take on it is a little bit different. It's on a higher road. I think we've been kind of caught up in the whole, you know, if somebody you don't want to get pregnant gets pregnant, but we also need to think about the men who are in monogamous and loving relationships and their wife gets pregnant. That sometimes like they're put in a bad situation where, you know, if the child is born, the mother might lose their life. I think about that on a husband and a father sense. Like I don't want, if there is an option for a man to prevent hardship in his child's life or in his partner's life, he's going to take it. And this decision has taken that ball out of families' courts. And to even further go along this line, like this decision, some of the legal speak in this overturnment affects people who look like us who might be in interracial relationships. This is a thing where social and economic talks were happening behind this conversation because the people who sit atop the politicians that run want to keep seeing people who aren't wealthy continue to have kids because, as we have all said, children are expensive. And so even if a child isn't born, if it's stillborn, that mom, that dad still has to deal with that hospital bill. This is about preventing that lower 99% ever from rising up above that. And they know that when you keep people poor, what are they going to do? They're going to have sex to keep their mind off of it and do other nefarious things. So it's just a perpetual cycle, in my opinion. But I think men as a whole, if you have the means, get a vasectomy if you don't want to be out there with a bunch of kids. Put some away. There's all types of technology out here in case you get a stray hair in your ass later on in life to say, hey, I might want to have a legacy. But if you know you're going to be out there slinging from the hip, do something, protect yourself for one, because STIs are real, but also go get a vasectomy, see a urologist, talk it out, and have a plan before you just go out there and complicate not only your life, but possibly 2 or 3 other people's lives.
Gentlemen, vasectomies are reversible. Hey, I just want to jump in here real quick, 2 minutes, and then I gotta get. It's been great talking with you guys. Roe v. Wade, them overturning this decision was not an outright ban on abortion. There's still 20 states or more that are going to see almost no change. It did trigger a bunch of laws in places like Texas and Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ohio. I got the graphics pulled up in front of me. There's going to be limitations, and like places like South Carolina is dropping the abortion thing down to 6 weeks. There was another state I saw is dropping their abortion down to 15 weeks. You know, you can't get an abortion after 15, but it is not an outright ban on abortion. All it was essentially is a group of white unelected bureaucrats said 50 years ago that abortion was constitutionally covered, or it was their opinion. The guys today, or the panel today, 6 of them did and 6 of them didn't, said, we don't agree that abortion is constitutionally covered, so you guys shouldn't be ruled by what it was that we decided. So we're going to take it. We're reversing our decision. Your states need to decide. You guys need to elect people that are going to vote the way that you want for the will of the people, the way it should have been done for the last 50 years. So if California wants to murder or wants to take the life of the baby all the way out to the point in time where it reaches out to to grab the doctor's hand or however that works, then that's vote for that. If they want. If you want an outright ban on abortion, vote for that. That's what it is now. Now you vote. Now we vote, and yes, it does have effect on other people because you vote your conscience, you vote your desires, and it will negatively affect somebody somewhere without a doubt. Men, we still have no rights. We still, whether she wants it out or she wants it in, we still have no rights after the decision made. And the courts, regardless of what it is, like the courts are just going to decide with her. And if you're married, I haven't read any significant legal precedents on that. JL pointed out something that I had never even given at a consideration. But as far as I kind of went the darker end of that, he's talking about saving lives, whether you have to pick one or the other. And I was kind of like, well, what if she gets pregnant and wants to terminate the baby without talking to her husband? Like, what's the legal precedent on that? So again, I think as a life-saving measure, I think the stare decisis on the litigation on that would be that if anything were to ever happen to jeopardize one or both lives in a pregnancy, that under the lost my train of thought, under the oath that the doctors take, the Hippocratic oath that the doctors take or whatever, they would be able to argue that away, and it would take one case of set precedents of, a pregnancy being detrimental to a mother. So then it had to be terminated. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but I do sleep at a Holiday Inn on occasion. So
good one.
But at any rate, gentlemen, it's been my distinct pleasure to sit and talk with you guys. John, last thing I'll say to you, man, if you said you weren't looking to go into a relationship or you weren't looking for sex, if you're not looking for intimacy, don't go after people that may be looking for intimacy. Give them that, that equal playing field. Other than that, Uncle, I love you, brother. It's been great seeing you guys. Victor, good to see you again, man.
Hey, man, thanks for jumping on.
Antoine,
yes, sir.
Looking good as always, my friend. So
I appreciate you,
nice
man.
To meet you. Chris from the other side of the table. Love meeting all of you guys. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Yes, sir.
What happens in my
Be good. Be good.
Good. Take care, Dustin.
Thank you.
Can I say something real quick to clear something up? Because evidently,
go ahead, man. Yeah.
I didn't say that I was not looking for sex at all but I was looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything right now. I don't have any female friends that I talk to personally. I don't have any. I'm cool with some females, but I don't talk to any females personally at all because I'm just not looking for that right now. I'm focused on rebuilding my business. That a female can't help me with that unless she's trying to help me build my business. So that's what I meant when I said I'm celibate and not looking for anything.
I can roll with it.
Yep, I can relate to that.
I can dig it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand the need to focus, and whatever you need to do as a man to focus, you can't really knock it. I mean, that would be difficult for me, obviously, but I could understand it. If it sounds like you know exactly what your main distraction is, and you decided to deal with you first and then find something that's real. I can't knock that.
I mean, I'll say this, and I know this is off topic. Part of my reasoning for that is it's not that that's the only distraction. It's the things that I've been through as well. I got a whole lot of stuff that I've been through. Screwed up relationships being one of them. And like I said, I was married before, so I do know what I want. Or I'll say this, I ain't gonna say I know what I want. I know what I don't want. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of staying to myself. I got partners that I talk to, we'll hang out, but I don't put myself in a position to even have to deal with issues like that. I got females that I work with that talk shit all the time, trying to entice me, but it's I don't put myself in those positions where it's something that I even have to deal with because, like I said, I'm focused on myself right now.
Good stuff. That's great.
But I did want to respond to the topic question. one of the things that Vic kind of got me on that he talked about accountability. That was the biggest thing that I was going to stick to. We got to be accountable for the decisions that we make. Number one, it don't matter what courts say that we can or can't do with our bodies. We got to hold ourselves accountable for the decisions we make. If we're not willing to be accountable, then it kind of goes back to what I said before about maturity. If you can't be held accountable, you're not mature enough to be making these decisions in the first place. Because if you don't want to be held accountable, why are you doing something that you don't want to deal with the consequences of that? That's accountability. I mean, if you're not willing to deal with those consequences, I listened to somebody that talked about this the other day, and they talked about they did I can't remember what type of survey it was, but it talked about the women that get abortions, and it asked, was this their first decision, or was this it talked about a bunch of different stuff, but the guy was saying that a lot of people are choosing they choose abortion because they know this is an option. So going back to what we said about accountability, if you're not going to be accountable for your actions, then why are you making that decision? And it goes back to me, like I said, I've chosen to be celibate because number one, I know the outcome of that. Number one, I'm not going to sleep with somebody that I don't see a future with. Number two, I know the risks that are involved. And I agree with what Dustin said. I was trying to catch him before he got off. I do have a vasectomy, so I know that I'm not having to worry about kids, but the other side of that is STDs and STIs. That's a real issue. And we all know we get in those moments where we don't want to put on a goddamn rubber. That is something that I think we all deal with. But when you got dick discipline, you got to be like, okay, you know what? Do I want to deal with whatever comes with it? My reason for being celibate is a little bit of both. Number one, if I don't see a future with a female, I don't see the purpose in sleeping with her. And right now, my future is kind of vague because I know what I want business-wise, and that's not going to involve a female right now. It's going to involve me being focused. I don't know. I just feel like accountability is the number one thing with this whole situation. You gotta.
I'd also like to add to what Vic was saying, and also John. Accountability is the main thing, and I feel in terms of the effect this overturning has on men is it has no effect on the responsible men that are out here still having dealings with females and not having kids. It has zero effect on them. And two, you think that the states where abortion rights have essentially been handed over to the state, in essence, you'd think that it would make the less responsible of the people involved in this more responsible. But coming from a place where abortions are entirely illegal, like they are illegal, the irresponsible ones are still going to be irresponsible and find a way to get abortion. Or they're just going to go to a state where they can have it, or they're going to go to Canada. So it's just going to be a bit more expensive, I guess, with traveling, but irresponsible people are going to find ways to have abortions because everybody loves the accountability word until they have to practice it with sex. Like they want you to be, people want to be accountable with everything except the sexual encounter in and of itself. Some of these women just mad because they ain't gonna be able to their warm nut intake is gonna have to go down, and you know some dudes are gonna be upset because now they're gonna have to raw dog less, or they're gonna have to actually pull out now. So
warm nut intake.
Yes, women that are just upset that they're not.
I'm like, y'all gonna act like he didn't say that. I was surprised women got so long to respond. You know what I'm saying?
Men and women just don't want to be responsible with sex. They want the apex sexual experience, the whole thing, and they want to be able to just go, oh, an abortion. Oh, let's just get that done. But now you're going to have to be more responsible, or you're going to have to get an illegal abortion. And trust me, y'all are not going to want to see the numbers on the uptick in illegal abortions over the course of time as this thing plays out, because it's going to skyrocket. I'm just giving you guys a fair warning. The thing being illegal does not stop many people from getting abortions here. It's still going to happen. That's how I feel. I think it changes things from a legislative perspective, but people are going to do what they're going to do, man. It's education. Education is really the only answer here. You have to really get people to understand, like, look, not only you risking bringing in a child into this world that neither one of you want to have, but you're also risking going to jail for aborting this child. So accountability, I like it.
Okay.
Anything that will make people be more responsible, I like.
Okay, but let's go on this word accountability. Everybody's always stressing this word accountability. You're a man, all right? You know what? Take accountability. Either way, life is going to show you accountability because you don't have the outcomes you want, you idiots. You don't have them. And all those decisions you made that you're not taking accountability for, check out what you have. Nothing. It's going to show you that. Now, I have to have accountability between what I do with Vic, the decisions I make with everybody on this panel, Garfield, DT. I have to have accountability for you guys for those immediate actions. But the accountability that you don't take in your own life, let me tell you something. Life's going to show it to you either way. Rather you bag it, don't bag it. It's going to show you accountability. And for women, it's going to show them accountability because you don't have the man you want, right? You don't. And you don't have the life you want. And at the end of the day, you want to be hugged. Now, unless you're into women, you really should think about what men say. And men have to understand, unless you're not, if you're not pursuing or you want this over here, because we're achievers, we're goal getters, we're the ones, the hunters, the gatherers and all that. If you don't take accountability to take that route, don't be surprised if you don't have what you want to have in life, because your accountability is going to come up anyways. You have to have accountability between the person in front of you. Either way, that's where your accountability matters, the woman in front of you. But if you don't have accountability in your own, you ain't fooling nobody in the mirror. Because accountability, life will show you accountability because you don't have what you want. Period.
Hey, Uncle, when you edit this right here, make sure you count how many times he said accountability.
Because everybody's talking about it.
Like I wanna like that's why I called it accountable masculinity. Let's move forward. Like accountability is a neutral term.
Masculinity.
We have to get more detailed and defined about who needs to be accountable. You see what I'm saying? So when we say accountable masculinity, we ain't talking about nobody but men. Okay,
that's what we're talking about.
That's what this whole panel is about. I'm saying that out loud for the user when they hear it. This ain't, like, everybody's driven these words into the ground. They've driven narcissists into the ground.
They're like buzzwords now.
Yes, I agree. Yes,
they're like buzzwords.
That's why I came up with accountable masculinity.
We can I got you, Vic. I follow you on that.
Yeah, it's about algorithms. It's about algorithms. You got to find a way to get new terminology into the spectrum, so people can start either being able to find it, seeing solid examples of it, and we can eliminate unhealthy competition on topics like this. Because like Roe versus Wade and the altering of how abortion can get done, that shit don't bother me none. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you made all drugs legal today, I'm not gonna start doing cocaine. You see what I'm saying?
True that.
You got to have
that.
Yeah, you got to have a taste and a desire to be trash. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Like, those women that get pregnant by the small percentage of men are competing with no code for the lowest hanging fruit. So they ain't got nothing to do with me. Those women that want those men could never meet a man like us, and you know what I'm saying, and figure that they got an opportunity to move ahead. If you got a man that's accountable about his masculinity. You see what I'm saying? See, at that point, we ain't got to talk about dick discipline. We ain't got to talk about accountability. We can define it about what our personal responsibility is towards that particular individual, so we can stop rediscovering the same problems. You see what I'm saying? like overall, men that's listening to this, until you get your bag, you don't even know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because like what you do what you do for money every day. Quality of life, paying the bills, going to work, giving your time to people that either serve you or don't serve you in some capacity, that do or do not add value, right? What you do every day to win the exchange of services for pay is who you are at that point until you eliminate the need for money. And you know what I'm saying? Like what I mean is like if your health's taken care of, your finances are handled, your family is well, everything you want to pay for is done, and you ain't even talking about money no more, then who are you? Because really, this conversation is outside of the exceptions, like what JL had an example of, like, what if something happens to your wife while you're in a marriage? Those are small situations, those are exceptions, but by and large, you don't have to have that much intelligence to go have sex. It's really a broke people conversation for folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people that's about their bag and out here running around throwing their meat and everything that they
we ain't got time to.
We ain't got time for that.
We don't have time.
Men without skills are the ones that's out here running around getting people pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Because
he's not lying though.
Yeah, he really ain't broke, because I spend more time trying to schedule like videography projects than trying to like get a female, bro. Like they gotta come to me at all.
You see what I'm saying? Like, because a man with skills got something to do, even if his chick piss him off. You know what I'm saying? So like, but a man without skills that has nothing but hobbies, when his hobby gets boring, he gonna find a place to go put his meat somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I say you can only have what you can afford. The lack of skills only affords you the opportunity to go hit low hanging fruit, and vice versa. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Low hanging fruit. What do you mean by low hanging fruit? I know what it means, but for the listener, what's low hanging fruit?
Community meat seeking missiles. You know what I'm saying? Chicks that ain't shit but bastard factories. Right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, making dudes with their mama's last name.
Hold on, Vic. That's why I didn't respond to what he said, because when you
love it here.
None of this applies to you anymore.
I love it here.
Hey, that's what I said, bro. You get what you can afford, man.
Exactly, man. Because you know what? I don't understand why men say they're kings. You ain't got nothing. You're thriving. Listen, everybody's trials and tribulations, everything that's bad that's happened in my life for men should be, if it happened to you, this happened, that should be more of a reason for you to become the best version of yourself, work on what didn't work on the last one, get into shape, get these six-pack abs. Every bad thing that happens into you, if you look at it like, okay, I ain't going to make that mistake again, but what do I got to be a better person? If you look at life that way, it's just a building block, right? And that's how you, and like you said, you really don't want the low-hanging fruit. You really want that upper fruit, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but I love looking down at what I don't want. That's just the way it is, right? I love being on top looking down. I'm already short as it is, but I like looking down at what I don't want, right? And I'm good with that. And I think men, like Vic said, need to look at that fruit right up there, man, and just keep thriving and keep thriving, because you ain't all kings. We got to get there. Just like all women ain't queens. They got to earn that, right? But I don't use that word queen and king. And listen, you're a loser and a winner. What do you want me to tell you? That's the way it is. You're a loser and you're a winner. And you're the one working towards becoming in the direction you want to go. That's
it. Antoine, are you saying that all black women are not queens?
No.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
No.
Oh, shit.
No.
No.
He stirred up the hornet's nest.
Y'all are getting demonetized.
I'm sorry, you're not.
And
all men ain't kings. And all men ain't kings.
Antoine.
But you can achieve your goals to become what you want to become. But
come on in here, John. What you got to say, John?
You got.
Antoine, let him go. This ain't about you. Go ahead, John.
Hey, you ask me a question? Just make it clear.
I just wanted to ask him, did he want to be buried next to Kevin Samuels, or how did he want to be buried? You just made a statement there. You gonna have a hit out on you for that.
Sorry to burst your bubble, man. I'm gonna be the friend you didn't have, girl. That girl that's telling you look pretty.
I've been saying that, and
He's
people.
not the
That's why I
consumer.
don't. When I greet people, I don't greet them. Good morning, Queen. Good morning, King. Now, when I got in the chat, I did say "What's up, Kings?" because I respect you as a king.
Right.
When it comes to looking at all women as queens, nah, I ain't never felt like that. Because the hot topic on Facebook right now just proved that all women ain't queens.
Women need to understand. Don't ask a woman if you're a queen. She's not the one that determines that. She ain't the consumer. She's not. You know, your outcomes will tell you if you're a queen or not. But no. Just like all men ain't kings. All right, you're driving a Pinto. You ain't a king.
What's the hot topic on? What's the hot topic right now? What I miss?
The video of the young lady thinking she was gonna make her baby daddy go viral. I've seen so many different comments.
Are we talking about the McDonald's commercial?
You know what?
Let's do it.
That's dick discipline. That's poor dick discipline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He put his meat in a bastard factory, and that's what he got. You know what I'm saying?
Let's make him the poster child for accountable.
Who's this? Who's this? I'm
Right
sorry.
now. Let's do it right now. He's the poster child for accountable masculinity.
Hey, go ahead and load the video so we can get everybody.
Who are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Hey, what's up, Coach?
Go ahead. Hey, you guys go ahead and talk. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Okay.
There's a viral video where this woman thought that she was going to exploit one of her child's fathers because he would bring his child something to eat every day but wouldn't bring food for the rest of them. And she really thought that she was saying something when she put him out there saying, why didn't you bring food for the rest of the kids? And he said, those aren't my kids. Why aren't you talking to those other fathers? Why aren't they bringing something for these kids? And it's been the topic of discussion ever since that video has gone viral. I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't have any kids. So I don't know how I would react in that situation. But I'm starting to see the internet and social media shows me exactly what people are, man.
Oh yeah.
On the strength.
I don't understand why women dude.
It's like she expected him to do. I kind of get where she's coming from because
wait. How do you get where she's coming from? I need
for this one reason. It
And the one reason is the motherfucking dollar menu, because, bro, you can get 3 cheeseburgers for $4 motherfucking dollars. You can get 3 cheeseburgers for them.
That's not the point.
I know, that's all I'm saying. She's fucked up a dude. He could have gotten them some off the dog.
That's not. I get what she's saying because him bringing his child one thing while the other kids are not, quote unquote, being treated, kind of leaves a bad taste in their mouth. However, no, hold on. Let me finish. However, the level of entitlement that she showed by saying that he was supposed to do that because those are his child's siblings kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, he doesn't have to do anything for them. Those kids didn't come out of his ball sack. He don't have to do nothing for them. He can do it if he chooses to. You understand what I'm saying? So I like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight. I just kind of I'm pulling myself out of the situation and I'm looking at it because I kind of see both sides of it. I can see how both sides of it can have a point. It's just the level of entitlement that she showed that left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that point.
All right, well, let's do it. Hey, fair use. Let's rock with it. Here we go.
Fair use. Hashtag fair use.
You know I don't get my food stamps to the 7. Lisa, is that my problem?
It's like part 2.
You're not helping out.
I'm trying to help my son.
But how are you helping your son when you're only getting food for just him and not the other kids, his siblings? Them are his siblings, though. He's not finna eat in front of all his other siblings and they're not eating on McDonald's. No, why do I gotta
bring him out to the car?
No. He's not finna eat that shit at all if you can't bring enough for everybody.
Lisa, so you're telling me that I gotta bring? So when I bring my son food, I gotta bring your kids food too now?
Yes.
You sound dumb.
How is that dumb? You sound dumb. You sound dumb.
Where are they daddies at? Nobody told you to talk to them other. You had them other kids. They were your responsibility. They're not my responsibility.
Okay, but if you're gonna bring one, you need to bring it for all. How do that shit look that I'm letting one child eat McDonald's and all the rest of the kids can't eat no fucking McDonald's? So you know I get food stamps on the 11th.
That ain't 3 kids that ain't mine. 3 kids that ain't mine.
Yeah, you know I don't get my food stamps to the 7th.
Can I speak on that? I wanted to speak towards what Chris was saying. I'm gonna say this. As a father, I've got 2 kids. Now, I don't know if my ex-wife is gonna have any more kids, don't even really care. But as a father, I'll say this. I see nowhere in that video, in any of the videos I've seen, where she had any type of point, because she's placing the responsibility of feeding her children on someone that's not the father of them. If they were in a relationship,
I get that.
I would definitely say, yeah, okay, if you bring in the food for just your child, then that's fucked up. You just worried about your child and this supposed to be your girl. Yeah, that's a problem. But speaking from a father's perspective, and I've been in a relationship with females that have kids, and I didn't have those kids, but I'm gonna feed everybody in the household. But that's not his responsibility. But going back to what Vic said in the first place, masculine accountability, it was his fuck up. You stuck your dick in that woman knowing she had other children by multiple men. You put yourself in a position to go through that. Now, yeah, she was very ignorant, very, very entitled, very stupid. That is definitely the definition of what not a queen is. So I'll definitely say that. But in that situation, he kind of put himself in that. You kind of put yourself in front of the firing squad when you say, okay, I know she got it's what was, hold on, going back to what was in the comments earlier. I'm gonna fix it. We have as men, we sometimes have that same fucked up mentality that I can fix her or I can change her. Yeah. So men make that same mistake as well. I don't think we do it as often as women, but men make that same mistake as well, thinking, okay, she got 4 kids by him, but I'm gonna be the one to change her. So he put himself in that position. He kind of put himself in front of the firing squad. I don't feel no sympathy for either one of them.
Oh boy, man.
I think she was just hungry.
Somebody else said I'm hungry. Somebody else said
Did you hear? Yeah, she was a different type of upset, bro.
But see, that's why I said I don't.
Kind of upset, bro.
She was carb deficient. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said I didn't have a dog in this fight, because I don't have any children, so I don't know how I would handle that.
Hey Vic, did you see the end of the video where she
was definitely wrong? Like, she was messed up.
She took really the food like she was gonna give it to her kid and then threw it out in the middle of the street.
I'm not giving her any right in the scenario.
He should take that to a lawyer, the courts. Oh my God, he should just show that video, lawyer, courts. He should just do the right thing. Don't say a word. She's refusing to take food from my son. Let the lawyer nice and put it on.
He liked being able to bring her daughter 3 times a week. That's all he liked.
No, she took the food.
Hey, she took the food and
that's all that should go to the lawyer.
Oh yeah,
all that should go. But I gotta ask, man, men actually breed with women like that? Like, you can't.
You would be amazed.
Imagine being a judge.
The minute she opened her mouth, I'd be like, where's the next?
You can only have what you can afford.
A slow Tuesday can turn into a lifetime of pain.
And he went to the dollar menu and then chose, you know what I'm saying, a 4-for-1 out of 1 because he got one of the 4, and he only got access to 25% of. And the 25% that he got access to is a headache and throws food back at him. You see what I'm saying? So like that 25% of her is a headache for him. You see what I'm saying? And he took the path of the loins of least resistance and ran up in there
for $3 extra he would not have been
and reproduced with an L.
Sometimes men gotta take an L, man. You gotta take one for the team.
Yo, sometimes you gotta spend $3 extra for your piece. I spent $3 extra on 3 cheeseburgers. He wouldn't have been viral right now.
He went to the dollar menu and pulled up and tried to deliver it to a bastard factory, and they threw the food at him.
Nick, I gotta ask, man. How do you breed with that? Like, where that is
I don't know. I can't speak on that. See, that whole scenario is broke people shit. I can't speak on that.
Antoine, this is gonna go back to what you said when I said I was celibate, and you talked about some of them just wanted in the car. That's one of the ones that wanted in the car, and he fucked up.
That's in the back of a bus stop, man. Come on, you gotta be. That don't even deserve a bed. Are you serious?
That was in the club bathroom.
I cannot believe somebody would have a kid with that. Like just listening to her, I'm like,
four of them
on the best night of like, was the lights dark? Like what the fuck?
Antoine, Antoine, so I'm just going to assume that she a hood chick, right?
You think?
I'm just going to assume. So I'm setting the table for what I'm about to say. I'm just going to assume that she's a hood rat, right? So for all the dudes that are out there, I'm not necessarily speaking from experience, but then y'all know how them hood rats are. Them hood rats be having that box, they be putting it on them dudes, and them dudes don't know what to do. All things are true. You think about it. If she in the hood rat and she busy and she fun and she look good and she got low self-esteem and she ain't got nothing going for her and she needs somebody to take care of these kids, I'm not saying the box ain't going to be that easy to get. And I'm not saying that, what did Christmas say? Some lack of warm, what'd you say? warm nut.
Lack of warm nut intake.
Lack of warm nut intake. So hey, I don't know. I lost my.
This is toxic as hell, and I like it.
Coach over there rubbing his head. Coach like, man, I done jumped on at the wrong time.
Listen, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna watch this again,
Coach.
And I'm gonna just hashtag every phrase that I've never heard before. I've never heard Bastard Factory before ever in my life.
Chris, if you're not friends, Chris, if you're not friends with Vic, please follow him. Please follow him. I swear you'll have fun.
Hey, let me tell you.
Buy my book.
You don't even have to get involved. You could just watch the comments.
Oh man.
Oh, the comment sections be extra, like extra.
Dude, the comment sections need Roe versus Wade.
You know, the funny thing is he gives a disclaimer at the top of every post, and people still proceed to get in their feelings.
Yeah, my disclaimer is this: I do not own the rights to your attention, nor do I own the flexibility of your thumbs. You can always scroll. You know what I'm saying? And this is where all things are true come from, because like you can talk to somebody and you listen to them, and this McDonald's situation, this like might be a Thursday for somebody. You know what I'm saying? This might be a Tuesday. You know, this is routine for a lot of people. That's why they're so familiar with it. Like it's some people that you hear is like, oh man, I got to talk to this bitch again today. You know what I'm saying? And you know that that's normal for them, because they, even though that they don't have a solid routine, they know the personality. You know what I'm saying? And they know what comes with it. It's the reason why, you know, like if you're at work and there's certain people you got to email something to versus actually talking to them about it. You got to take away all the options that they can tell you no on. You know what I'm saying? Well, when you give your seed to the wrong person, you give away your options. You know what I'm saying? And that right there is a loss of leverage. So that's why I say, as a man, that was on him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
I agree. As wrong and raggedy as she is, he went dollar menu shopping for her, and he went to McDonald's and shopped on the dollar menu. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't blame the
woman. You get mad when the order ain't right.
Hey, since we all on here talking about it, who on here? Because I was on Facebook earlier today, and there was a guy who actually felt like the dude should have bought the rest of them kids some food.
I agree.
Anybody in here actually agreed that he should have?
My thing is this: if you hit the dollar menu, you have no excuse. What's $3 extra, bro? Like he was saying, that's some broke people problems.
It's not about the money, Chris. It's not about the money, bro. It's not about the money, man.
I'm not giving her a pass. Notice, I did not give her a pass. But like I said, with compartmentalizing, you know it's 3 other kids. You already hit the dollar menu for your son. You can't spend $3 extra.
Hey, Christmas, I got you real quick. Hey, I'm so to continue this. So where is the line? Where does that line stop? Because you do it one day.
If
what
I
about
went
next month
to
and
the
the month
Cheesecake
after? What about Christmas?
Check this. If I went to the Cheesecake Factory, only my son getting that Cheesecake Factory. But if I hit in the dollar menu, I can spend $3 extra for for 3 extra burgers for the 3 boys. It's $3. That's all.
So
I'm
Vic
saying.
said those
If
poor
you're
people
going to the
problems. So he
dollar
may not
menu,
have extra $3.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Gas is
It's
$10
either
a gallon.
two
That
things.
extra $3
Either
went in his
he got
gas
some
tank.
serious broke people problems, or he being spiteful, and because of the way she carry on, Rich and I can't blame him for that too. I cannot blame him. But it's either he broke or he being spiteful.
No. Why does it have to
I
be
ain't broke or spiteful, and I wouldn't do
They're
it.
not yours.
Hold on,
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're gonna start feeding all the kids every day. If he got to swing by to drop food off, eventually she gonna think that it's here's the thing.
Here's the thing. He only doing it 2 to 3 times a week.
People with no resources got the least amount of leverage and want to make all the fucking rules. You don't get to set the rules when you broke. That's just it.
Oh yeah, I agree. I was saying out of the goodness of my heart, thinking about the kids only, I would have done it.
Utopia. That's utopia. They got programs.
Hey, when you said that, even Coach turned around and gave the eyebrow. Hey, go ahead, Coach. Jump in there, Coach. Jump in there, Coach.
I got limits now. She ain't gonna hit me every day.
Everybody mute your mic. Coach on here. Everybody mute your mic. We want to hear what thus said, Coach.
Listen, man. Let me apologize.
Please, Coach, your mic, Antoine.
For being late. Here's the deal. Like, so I see that. And here's the issue. That dude is young, man. That dude, that's the concern. He is young and he is immature. So there's some things that he has to go through in his life to get to the point of you fine gentlemen's level of awareness. That's what we need to understand. He doesn't have your awareness at this particular point in time. There are certain growing pains that he has to go through. So unfortunately, dealing with this young lady, he's going to have to do for the next 15, 16, however many years that he got to deal with. It's just a matter of the, it's a facet of development. That's what we're talking about here. Now, I got to go back to what the brother said, man, because here we're talking about the difference between responsibility and my just kindness. If I want to be kind, then I'm hitting the dollar menu up like Christmas said. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing all the cheeseburgers to everybody. I'm feeding the baby mama, the grandma, everybody get cheeseburgers. You know, so I'm up in there like Oprah. You get a cheeseburger and you get a cheeseburger and you get a cheeseburger. That's the goodness of my heart. But my responsibility is to my child. And I'm not wrong if I show up with food for my child. That's the key. So here's the deal. You can't hold that man responsible for not exercising goodness at that particular point in time. But why not give him a pat on the back for taking care of his responsibility? That's my thing. And the last thing I want to say about the video, this whole video was staged, man. Come on. Think about it. They already had the video flowing. She had an audience behind her. She was putting on for the ground. You know that. You know what that is. So that's just my take on this whole craziness.
It would not surprise me if that were the case. People would do so much for it.
I like to lean on it being staged too. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, like, I try to look at it with a different type of eye because people do anything for attention to social media. I saw one video the other day where some man and some woman was arguing at the pump and she was putting diesel in his truck, and then I could just tell it was staged because you could tell they would look up and find the camera somewhere. On this particular situation, women have no code. So I don't suspect that this isn't also true. You see what I'm saying? Because if all things are true, let's just assume that it was what it was, right? Like everything that we saw was as transparent as it was. It was a selfish act. And I really just still think that she was just calorie deficient that day and very hungry. You know what I'm saying? Because like who's upset at a child getting fed? You know what I'm saying? Like and then if you say that the baby was hungry and then you threw the food, that's the part right there to me that makes it seem like it was staged. Because even then, she could have stolen it and ate it. You know what I'm saying? Because she was already hungry. We could tell. I could tell a hungry voice.
But you know what's sad, Vic? I get what you're saying. But what's sad is that if you think you need attention like that to make something staged like that, you have people, white people, other people that you want them to look at you correctly. And you know what you're doing? All you're doing is justifying that behavior and that woman acting up in McDonald's. All that kind of video does is verify the McDonald's when they're acting up in McDonald's looking like an ass over their order getting wrong. Because
I think that's the reach. I don't think those are related. Those aren't related, Antoine.
To me, that doesn't look staged, right? Because I've seen it before, but it doesn't look staged. But you have people justifying that shit. And that's what that. Don't ask them. Then don't blame them if they think what they think, because you're creating the scenario for them. You're creating the stereotype for them. So you're adding on to it. So don't blame them if they think what they think. So don't blame them if they see you acting up in McDonald's and you say, "Well, we know what's gonna happen when they go home." See what I mean? It just adds on to shit.
I don't see the connection in those the same way you see it.
I can.
That's what I'm saying. The same way you see it, I don't see the connection, but that's fine. That's why I always say, like, everybody has a different lens that they looking at something through. Because those, like, people that argue at McDonald's and kick it right like that, I don't think that they give a shit about if white people care about them. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why they look at this video and they don't look at it as being staged, because, like they said, you don't care.
They don't care about how we interact with each other, because they don't have to.
But not to mention that people will do anything to go viral nowadays.
Like what black people do doesn't alter what white people do every day. You see what I'm saying?
I'm just saying you can control that. I'm just saying then don't say it's a stereotype. That's all.
You only
a stereotype starts from somewhere. A stereotype starts from somewhere.
But the conversation wasn't even about that. You brought up stereotypes.
No, I brought it up because you guys looked at it as stage, and I'm like, I don't think that's stage. I actually think that's the way she was.
I've seen stuff like that.
But
I've seen stuff like that too, and I'm like, that's not.
I'm failing to understand the connection between a stereotype and just the video and black people. That's like I'm trying to sew that part up, because
let me show it for you.
We're not discussing stereotypes. We're discussing the video itself.
Yeah,
and for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't care about combating nobody else's stereotypes. So I'm trying to figure out, how does that stereotype piece fit into what we're talking about in Dikk Discipline?
Because, well, first of all, that video is a perfect video to play your son about Dikk Discipline. Let's start there. I mean,
this is what you don't do.
If you want a clear example, put that video up in the.
And that's what I'm trying to lead it back to.
I put it on
all that extra stuff, like, about stereotypes, this is just the bottom line. This is the Dikk Discipline conversation.
The only reason I brought up stereotypes, like I said, the only reason I brought up stereotype is you guys think it's stage, and I'm like, that's not stage. She's like that. I think stage. You guys can look at it as that's not. She like that. That's all I'm saying. What? Yeah, that's not stage for me.
Not everyone cares about the white lens they may be seeing through.
But see, that's the thing. Here's
what's getting ready to happen. Hey, hold up real good, Christmas. What we're gonna do? We're gonna slide around. We're about to end the show in a few minutes. But before we do, we're gonna slide around with everybody and do our final thoughts. If you're in the private chat, you can look. You can see the order. I know I said that for everybody else, but I also said for the panel members. So we're gonna start off with Vic giving us our final thoughts of the evening. Then we're gonna close up for the evening, and we definitely gonna see you guys next week.
Hey, well, I'm gonna start off with, fellas, be aware. In most cases, men know how to communicate with each other. We communicate through participation. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can watch a football game and you see a silent count from a quarterback, and everybody responds at the same time because they've worked on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? This platform is about the language of men and showing other people how men of a certain type of experience communicate with each other on normal topics that probably cause uproars in other conversations. So with that being said, you have to align yourself with a side that makes logical decisions at some point. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to make a us or them situation. But when you look at yourself now, you got to figure out what you want to be and how you want to get old. You know what I'm saying? Because at 40, I'm 43, and I'm thinking about how I want to retire. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about how comfortable how comfortable I want it to be, even what it smells like, where's the location, and things of that nature. Having children out of wedlock in a capacity that consumes your finances, your resources, and your time does not fit how I want to retire. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you got to envision where you want to be, reverse engineer yourself, use your skills to get into that conversation, and realize that if you're playing with broke people, you're going to end up broke. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to participate in their activities so you can learn their language, and you're going to participate in their struggles. Participation is the real language here. You know what I'm saying? So what are you participating in, and what languages are you learning to better your outcomes in other situations? So you should be taking some transitive properties from every single thing that you do, you know, So what transitive properties can you learn from other people's mistakes around you? Like, I don't have to watch somebody jump from a tree and bust out both of their knees to realize that if I go jump from this same tree, I'm probably going to bust up both of my knees. I can watch them learn that example and never have to participate to learn that lesson. So some lessons, even in science, are based on observable science, right? Like you could see something taking place, document it, kind of predict it. If you see a certain rhythm and a pattern, you can kind of make some assessments out of it, right? Well, if a woman comes to you with 3 or 4 kids, there's your pattern right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's enough for you to even just raise a red flag and see if you want to afford that. Because again, you can only have what you can afford, and that has nothing to do with money. So can you afford it with your time? Can you afford it with your resources? Can you afford it with your intellect? Can you afford it with your sanity? You see what I'm saying? Take the money away and say, can I still afford this? And that's why I want to leave it at. So women have no code. They don't have any communication with each other. They don't like each other. They break up over the most frivolous things, okay? These men sitting on this panel have code. They have a language that they can understand, you know what I'm saying, with just gestures. And we can tell you what your probability is going to be based on observable science and experience. So it's up to us to protect us because ultimately nobody's coming to save us. So with that being said, be accountable about your masculinity. Be accountable where you spend your dollars. Be accountable where you spend your time and your resources. And don't let the person with the least amount of leverage try to make the rules.
What?
What? The last one was the accent. Accident, not accent. What you got for us, Antoine? Your final thoughts. I know you didn't look at the chat.
Listen, dick discipline. Let's stay there.
Keep it short too. We ain't got 45 minutes for you to do a monologue either.
Don't stand on your wallet when you say it. Just
don't stand on your wallet.
I'm being honest. You got dick discipline begins looking at that woman and seeing if that's the woman you want to spend the rest of your life with. Also, realize no woman, anytime you go with that type of woman, you're saying, and you make stupid decisions, you're saying, ask yourself, is that woman more expensive or worth more than my own life and my own achieving my own goals? Is she going to propel me or is she going to propel me for that night? You know when you meet that girl what she's there for. You know if she has potential. But don't use your dick. Use the right head. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Use the right head. Okay? There's 2 ways to look at it. Is she worth it? Is she worth it? And what is she there for? And what do you want out of her? And are you willing to spend the rest of your life with this woman over mistakes? That's all. That's all. No woman is worth more than your own life. If you want to be a king, you tell her you make her a queen. It ain't the opposite way around. Period. And period. It will exactly. Women come first in your personal life. They don't belong in your professional life. And because you know what? You can't take love to go pay your mortgage and your bills. Get those 2 things separated. Honey, I'll see you when I get home. And if you're not there, make sure you leave the key somewhere else because you ain't getting back in. That's how it works.
Got that. You damn right.
There you go, Antoine. John, the floor is yours. Final thoughts, brother. What you got for us? Hold on, unmute your mic.
I don't know. I guess Vic kind of hit the nail on the head with masculine accountability, and then Antoine said something else earlier that I think is a big part of it as well. Is she more valuable than you? I mean, are you willing to put more value into her that you allow that to be the one that you have a child with, or the one that you allow to be a distraction? Like I said, everybody's different. You know, women aren't distractions for some; they are for me. So don't allow that to be a distraction. Focus on yourself. If you're trying to build something, focus on building what you're trying to build. If you're not with the right one, believe me, you will attract the right one. That's all I got.
Yeah, man. I find myself like being the middle child, when I listen to the conversation, because I know what I do, and then I know what I would tell younger guys younger than me, and I know what experiences y'all have. And I look on both ends and I say it's important as men to have experiences with women. You have to be out there. Okay. And you have to do that because you got to be able to decipher, which one's the good one, like what Antoine was saying, which one's good long term and which one's good for the moment. And there's nothing wrong with dealing with the ones that's good for the moment because we need that one physical sexual experience, right, to get better or to be have that experience. And we also need to learn how to deal with women in a social setting. So yeah, for sure, deal with them, but be smart, right? Like don't pick the hook at. You know what I'm saying? Pick somebody else that is gonna, be better suited for you, and it's not going to bring you all kinds of issues, even if this person isn't necessarily for long term, right? Because like I said, if I was talking to a younger guy, I would tell him like, hey man, be on your purpose, figure out what you're trying to do in life, move up, level up, get yourself up there. Mind, body, money is what I always say, and that will come, So have the experiences, but be disciplined about it. That's what I'll tell him.
On you, Christmas.
Adding more to what Vic said on accountable masculinity. Well, what is it? It's masculine accountability. Sorry.
It's accountable masculinity.
Don't worry, it'll be on a shirt. It'll be on a shirt before the month is out.
So, I lost my train of thought for half a second. Shit, I can't remember what I wanted to say. I feel like my point was made so many times by John and Vic that I'm not exactly sure what anything. Narrow focus. You don't have to necessarily, stay away from women and not be around them, but take care of your circle. Make sure that you surround yourself with people who understand you, who actually care about you, who respect your goals and your process to accomplishing your goals. And I feel that I know that once you surround yourself with people like that, you're going to find time to do everything you need to get done, and it's going to be more peaceful as you do it. So part of accountable masculinity is understanding the people you surround yourself with plays an important role in you accomplishing your goals, because you cannot surround yourself with, like Vic said, you're never going to find him inside McDonald's on the dollar menu arguing with someone who could barely afford the dollar menu. So in respects to that, I'm not going to surround myself with people like that as well. So being 35 now, having a son, already getting all the education I sought out to get, and now focusing on my careers and my passions, I literally don't have time for people that I feel would literally only be a hindrance to not only my success but my peace. And that's basically it. Keep your focus narrow and keep the people around you solid.
Talk to me, coach.
I love it. I love it. These brothers are spitting some good knowledge. And again, I apologize for coming late. So if I say something that somebody has already said, again, I apologize. And I love the idea of accountable masculinity because I need to surround myself with good quality men that keeps me accountable for my behavior. That's first and foremost. But I think I want to slide something different in here as well, because there's one female that has loved me from the day that I was born, regardless of whatever it was I have done. And when I look at that female has always been a model of like just what I view a womanhood to be. So if as young men, if we have made those women that we dealt with, if we made their character the character of our mothers, if we make our beginning point our mother, and we compare people to who they are, not necessarily to my mom, but look at how she does things, how she carries herself, how she moves, things of that nature. And then when I go out there in the street and I'm looking for a young lady that keeps me out the hoods, that keeps me out of the unhealthy, like Vic's tend to say, the unhealthy competition and conversation and all that other great stuff. Why? Because my mother doesn't carry herself that way. So if I look at her and I make that character my bottom floor, and that's where I start at, then it's almost guaranteed that I would never put myself in a situation to where I have to be like that young man on that video, or for any other person for that matter. So I think if we look at it from that perspective, that is a great starting point. And if we move from there in conjunction with our masculine social network, then that should put us to the point to where we're accountable for our behaviors. Y'all will keep me in check, because if we got a bad night at the club and y'all see me walking with somebody like, hey, brother, come here, let me talk to you for a second. Pull me to the side, help me get, because I may have been drinking, man. Pull me to the side, help me get my bearings straight. Because, don't let me go home with that, because it might be a long 18 years after that. You understand what I'm saying? That's what my social circle is for. So with that being said, if we just keep those things, and then again, we say it every week, just keep building your brand. Build and build and build until, this young lady shows up. You don't have to go hunting for a woman. I promise you, if you just keep focusing on being the best version of yourself every day, then she will show up. So if you keep those things into accountability, keep those things into focus, again, a good masculine social circle, use your mother as the baseline for your development when it comes down to adding a female to your social circle, and continue to build your brand en route, I don't see where you'll go wrong.
There you have it. Chris from across the table, wrap us up.
First of all, this was great. I appreciate you having me on. Fellas, y'all are amazing. I'm going to be hashtagging a whole bunch of stuff out of this video. But to wrap it, to kind of put a cap on it, I think every man watching this should read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, because he talks about sex transmutation, which is where you think about it like this. Imagine how far most of these men out here would be if they actually took the energy that they pushed into getting a woman into reaching a goal. You understand what I'm saying? Props to John for the 1 year of celibacy. I practice semen retention, so I know how difficult that can be. And like I said, we carry a huge responsibility. The spark of life rests within us, and we need to start being responsible with it. And that's about all.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you, Chris, Antoine, Vic, Coach Christmas, John, BT, and everybody who tuned in this evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Today, we will be back live next week with another great topic. Like Vic got the book up, buy his book. Check out Chris from across the table. Check out this podcast, Empowering Perspective podcast. Everybody up here got podcasts and doing a whole bunch of things on the side. If you have not done so already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button on your way out the door, and check out the other videos on the Uncle Jr. Network over on YouTube. We are out.
I want to say thanks to it was nice meeting all you guys, man. PT, I think we talked before. BT, hang up on him. Hang up.